Next, you'll see in the plan that we have two other door types, a 1510 by 2110 and a 1410 by 2110. So if I go to the door tool type selector, you'll see the internal door types, they don't exist right now. What we need to do is we need to bring those doors in from our library. So to do that, we'll go to Load Family. Then you'll scroll down to our Doors folder. We have 4 different subfolders. There's our door ironmongery, so that is our doorknobs, hinges, and so on. Next are the external doors. There's our internal door folder. So if we double click on the internal doors, and if I select the top one, use the arrow keys, you can see in a preview of the different types of doors that we have. If you don't have these in your library, it's probably best to look back and make sure that you have installed your library correctly, because they should be there once you load in the UK library. So the door that I'm going to insert is a double door. So here we have got 8 options, 1 to 8. You can choose any one of those, 1 to 8. The actual type itself is not important as long as it's a double door. So you have the option there to go from 1 to 8. I'm just going to stick with 1. Once we have the door selected, press open, and you'll now notice it's in my type selector. So if I hit the drop down arrow, there's my doors internal double 1, and I've got 2 different types, 1510 and 1810. So I'm going to select the 1510, and if you refer to the PDF, they're represented by the number 2. So wherever we have the number 2 is where we're going to have those doors. So we've got one here, and one on the curve. Escape to finish. So this one here is 700 from the column, and the other is just in the center. So lastly, we just have that 1410 by 2110, which is represented by the number 3. If I go back to the door tool, you'll notice that we only have the 1510 and 1810. So what we need to do is we need to edit the type and create our own door type. So on the 1510, we'll have that selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to select Edit Type. So we're in the Properties palette right now. We've just selected our 1510 door. To create our own type, we're going to select Edit Type. So in here are the type properties of this door. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this right now. We will cover this as we go through the course. But if we scroll down to the dimensions, that there are the parameters of the door, which you create when you build your own doors. So in there's the width at 1510. Now we are not going to change the value of this door because we want the 1510 to remain in the project as a 1510. So what we need to do is we need to duplicate this, give it a new name, and that will be our own that we can then change the values. So we'll go over to the top right here. We have duplicate. Select that. It will automatically by default give it 2 at the end. So we'll just select the 2, delete, change it to a 1410 by 2110 and press OK. So now you see at the top here, we have our family, which is our door, the internal double 1, which is our door that we've selected. We've now just created a new type, which is the 1410 by 2110. So now all we need to do is just change the parameter value. So if we scroll down to our dimensions, there's our width, still 1510. So we'll just select the value, change it to 1410, press OK. And now you can see in our type selector, there is our new 1410 by 2110. It's very important to remember to duplicate. If you don't, you're going to change the parameters and values of the original door, and it's going to upset what we've already put into the drawing. So now we'll place our 1410 door. And you notice when I go to place it on the wall, it will automatically center the door for me. So you can see it kind of jolts a bit. So I now know that that door, if you look at my temporary dimensions, it's centered between the column and the adjacent partition. Double escape to finish. And then we have it. So we have our 3 different door types in our drawing. So before we move forward, what we're going to do is we're going to rename these doors and give them a unique name. This would become more clear towards the end. So the first one is the 910 door that we have inserted. What we're going to do is we're going to rename that and give it a door type 1, so DT01. So how we can change the type is we just select the door, edit type, rename, and we'll leave the actual width and height. We'll just type in DT-01 before and press OK. So now everything remains the same. All we've done is just renamed it. And I'll press OK. So because I changed that one type, if I select the other door, you'll also notice that the name has been renamed. So each one of these doors, all the 910 have the same properties. And if you change one type, it will change all the others. So we'll now change the 1510 door. Again, selecting the door, edit type in the properties, rename, and we'll change it to DT-02 and press OK. So now it's a DT-02 for door type 02. Press OK. And again, if I select the other one, you'll see as well been renamed. And lastly, we'll just select our 1410, rename that as well to DT-03. Press OK and OK. So then just to continue on tidying up the detail, what I'm going to do is import another component from the family, from the library. So I'm going to go to detail items. First, I'm going to go to annotations. In the annotations, there's a break line. So if I place it just above, you'll notice with the break line, it has a masking region behind it that you can extend to remove any information. So I can then copy it over. So that is the break on. We're now going to start to place dimensions around the building. So the location of the dimensions are in the Annotate tab. The first panel there, the Dimensions panel. As well, you can go Quick Access at the top and just select Aligned Dimensions. So just to run through them, we have Aligned, which is the first one. So the Aligned Dimension places a dimension between parallel references or multiple points. So this would be the best option to use when running around any object because it would align the dimension parallel to the model. And if you wanted to get a linear dimension, so you'd have it say 0, 90, 180, 270 degrees, you'd then use your linear dimension. The angular goes between two angled lines. The radial dimension will give us the radius of a circle or arc or curve. Same with the diameter will give us a diameter. Arc length will give us the total length of an arc. The spot elevation will display the elevation of a selected point. Same with the spot coordinates. So on your plan or side plan, if you want to define out what coordinate the corner of a building was placed at, you'd use your spot coordinate. You can also use the spot slope to place the slope of your roof or slab, so on. Okay, to get started, I'm going to choose the aligned dimension. So once you select one of the dimensions, you're still the choice to go back and change to a different dimension. Down here in the type selectors are different types of dimensions we can choose from. I'm going to stick with the diagonal 2.5 aerial. Here in the options bar, we have a couple of options which we'll go into a lot more detail in a few moments. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to dimension the grid line. So to give us a bit more room, what I'm going to do is extend the grid line itself. So just select the grid line. Select the open grip and just pull it back. Same with the left-hand side. So now we have more space to add dimensions. So now I'm going to go back, choose my align dimension. To get me started, first thing I'm going to select grid line 1. I'm going to dimension between grid line 1 and grid line 2. So I'll select grid line 2. But what I want to do is continue on down through each of the grid lines. So I remain in the dimension tool and just click on each grid line to have them selected. So you can see they're all joined in the same run. So the next step is then to position the dimensions where you'd like them to be located. And then finally, to place them, you'll click away from everything on the screen. So if I was to add here, I'd add another dimension, same here. So just move the cursor away from anything else that's not selected and click. If I press Enter, Escape, Spacebar, it'll just undo everything I've done. So we're going to do the same again for the left-hand side. A, B, C, D, E, and F. Align them to where I want the dimensions to be and click to place. So that's kind of the basics of the dimension. For us to then go around the building itself and dimension each individual opening could take quite a long time, especially in a large project. So we're able to do a quicker way of dimensioning the building. To go back into the aligned dimension, in the options bar here, we have our drop-down menu. So first off, that's where we can select what we want to dimension. So do you want it to start from the wall center line, the face of the wall, the center of the core, or the face of the core? So what we want to do now is we want to go for our wall faces. So when I go to dimension, I get the face of the wall and the opening. And to the face of the wall. It will take us quite a bit of time to do that.